My name is Eric Kropp, Director of Product Marketing at Vistara, and welcome to today's webinar on IT Management as a Service. I'm joined today by Mahesh Ramachandran, our Senior Director of Product Management. Mahesh, so why don't you go ahead and take it away? Thank you.
All right, thanks, Eric, and good morning and welcome everyone to the webinar. Today's topic is IT Management as a Service. What does it mean? What are the drivers that motivate thinking about offering IT management as a service, and what the capabilities are that you will need to organize and deliver IT management as a service. And lastly, how does Vistara, our IT operations management platform, provide you the capabilities you need to offer IT management as a service? So these are the topics we'll be covering. So let's start with really what it means. And let me start by saying when we say IT management as a service, we are referring to specifically IT operations management, monitoring, configuration management, automation, routine maintenance, alert management, event management, problem management. That set of capabilities that are the mainstay of a mainstay need of any IT department, any IT organization. So we're talking about IT operations management specifically here. We'll start with sort of looking at really what are the key trends that motivate this topic in the first place. Really, why should we be thinking about it? And then we'll go on further to look at what it means and so on. So with that, let me just start with the driver. So in the IT technology realm, as I'm sure you all are well aware, there's just many different shifts in technology that are always in play. This is many trends, many shifts, always changing. And out of these different trends, we see three specific shifts that the enterprise IT is seeing today that are specifically relevant and are going to be transformative to how IT operations is organized and delivered in the future. Let's look at these three specific shifts and their implications to what it means and why they motivate this topic. The first shift here is that it used to be that IT assets, meaning the infrastructure, servers, storage, network devices, applications, they all came from pretty much the same place, meaning from the corner server room back in the day, and then most recently, from a shared data center, a colo, or your own company's data center. It used to be that all the IT assets that you were using to deliver IT services came from pretty much a single place, maybe a couple of data centers in your environment. That is changing. That is changing fast. The IT assets that you of the future and really current state come from really what we call an IT supply chain, really a diverse set of providers of these IT resources. Specifically for infrastructure, there's traditional physical infrastructure, and there's virtual infrastructure with virtualization, and then now there's IaaS, Amazon and OpenStack and so on, cloud providers from which you can just buy on demand with a credit card a virtual server and spin it up and use it for as long as you need, and then tear it down. Right? So there's just different providers offering from which IT is procuring, so to speak, the assets on which IT apps and IT transactions are delivered. Likewise on applications, it used to be again traditional desktop apps or client server apps hosted right there in your corner server room. That's changing, as you know. Every IT department today is at least using one SaaS-based application, whether it's Salesforce.com or authentication on the cloud or NetSuite, or there's just many different SaaS apps. And so apps are no longer coming from a single place. So we sort of think of this as the supply chain of providers that provide IT resources on top of which your enterprise users are consuming these IT services. And as we'll talk about later, this has a pretty deep implication for what it means to do IT operations management when you have IT resources coming from just diversity of different sources. Secondly, there is the assets that IT uses. Your end users use. Laptops, mobile devices, your servers and applications. They just come in just different flavors. And just drill down to look at what that means. Cloud instances versus physical servers. A cloud instance you spin up for as long as you need, and you spin it down. A physical server, you keep that around for typically 3-year life cycle, 5-year refresh life cycle. Cloud instance lives for maybe a month, maybe a few hours. Right? And the reason that's relevant is the management needs for those two different, for the same type of IT resource, just different flavors. That management needs are very different. Do you really need to patch a cloud instance that is only going to live for a few hours? What level of monitoring do you do on those on the short-lived cloud instances, and likewise on your traditional physical infrastructure? There's just different management needs for these different IT resources. In the same vein, customers or end users bring in their own mobile devices and use them to perform their enterprise their work tasks. And to what degree do you manage those your end users' personal devices versus your corporate provided devices? It's just different levels of management need. It's just different shades of management that you need on different types of devices. And lastly, this is more of a not of a technology direct technology shift, but more of a technology induced shift in expectations. Given that you can buy IT resources on demand from the cloud from providers, there's just this new expectation that enterprises have, particularly IT CIOs, that they want a clear line of sight into the cost and value that each of these resources are delivering. There's just a new expectation that particularly public cloud has set. This public cloud brings a level of cost transparency to IT resources. You know what your cloud instance costs you, and that naturally forces you to think about how much your physical server costs you, and if you're going to be able to get a better deal on the cloud versus your on-prem infrastructure. Right? Similar with SaaS apps. Right? If I'm paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for an on-prem app, a traditional packaged application, while I can just subscribe to a SaaS-based app, you have CIOs are forced to ask the question: is it which is giving me a better deal over a longer period of time? Am I better off just buying services on the cloud? Right. So what it means for IT operations management is that it just forces IT operations to provide that visibility into what the costs and benefits are of these different IT resources. So those are the shifts. I hope that gave you a sort of picture of what these shifts are. Let me shift focus to sort of what it means, and specifically what it means and why these motivate you to look at IT operations management as a service. So here's really the bottom line here. These shifts, we believe, really motivate IT operations management, particularly common IT ops functions, to be delivered in a centralized fashion in a single place within enterprise IT or outside of the enterprise by a managed services provider as a service. And the reason this is motivating is because we believe it's far more efficient to centralize these common management functions and deliver them as a service. That's really the bottom line. And if you think about it, each of these shifts, if it's the same IT supply chain that each line of business wants visibility into. So why have each line of business build their own management capabilities to get visibility into the same supply chain? And so it's far more efficient to have that visibility delivered centrally by either enterprise IT department acting as a service provider or by a third-party managed service provider. If you are a managed service provider in the audience, I'm sure you're familiar with this, and you've probably been doing this all along. And what we're talking about here really just highlight some of the new attributes that you would be seeing a demand for from your customers in terms of management capabilities that your customers are looking for. Right. So, so centralizing really gives you that efficiency. Likewise with managing, there's different levels of management we talked about for different flavors of IT resources, right? Patching, cloud instance versus a physical server. If you have each line of business trying to specialize in producing these different flavors of management, it's just not as efficient as having all of that done and all of the different flavors of management offered by a single entity. And with cost and visibility, again, if a centralized IT operations management function can provide visibility into the costs and service levels across the different parts of the supply chain, it just makes it easier for lines of business to compare and shop for better deals. So I hope that sort of was a convincing argument or a rationale for why IT operations as a service really makes sense in this new world that we're all moving to. So let's look at really in specific terms what it means. So we talked about sort of in the abstract sort of what the concept is and why it's important. Let's just bring it home now in terms of really what does it feel to deliver, what does it look and feel like to deliver IT operations management as well. This is really what it feels like. It's really simple. Whether you're a managed service provider or an enterprise IT department offering this, you just simply offer a catalog of management services, common ones, like monitoring, configuration management, routine maintenance tasks. And so there'll be this menu of different capabilities that your lines of business can come and sign up for. And some of the examples would be, monitoring. Maybe a line of business only wants monitoring for their production servers and apps, not their test and dev. So they would just sign up just for monitoring for production servers and apps. Patching, maybe a line of business wants all servers to be patched weekly. They sign up for that. Another line of business may come and say, I need you to do this routine management task of rotating logs on my servers, which is important, which is sort of a basic, run-of-the-mill core IT task, log rotation. And everybody has to do it, and it's just, if you offer that as a simple service, your lines of business will come and sign up for that. So I hope that gives you sort of a flavor for really in specific terms what the experience would be for your end user. They'll just come, look at your menu of options, and tell you, here's what I want for these IT infrastructure resources, and here's the service I want. So this is really what it would feel like. Let's drill a little further and look into what the specific capabilities are that you would need to deliver this. So, and then we look at how Vistara can help you there. So when we looked at this, what the needs are, and we talked to many customers and got their input, and what are the capabilities you would need to really offer IT management as a service, it really boiled down to these four capabilities here. First is unified visibility. I'll talk about that. Unified visibility and control. An ability to do self-service access to these management information that within each line of business coming in, or each user coming in and logging in and looking at the output of the management services. The ability to customize these services to the needs of each business unit, line of business. And then clear, well-established, easy to understand measures of service levels and cost. Just drill into each, and you'll understand what we're talking about here. Right, so let's go to the first one here. Unified visibility. So it's really simple. You're managing resources across the whole diverse supply chain, as we talked about earlier. Data center, servers on the data center, servers on the cloud, apps in the data center, apps in the cloud. And you just need just a single place visibility into all of those things that you want to manage, and visibility across these different elements that you're managing, all the way from mobile devices to storage arrays and everything in between, as well as apps and transactions. And you need visibility into the different facets of these, how these IT resources are doing. Availability, is the thing up, the thing down? Is it running well? Is it what end user response times am I delivering? Are my users getting? Is the thing full, meaning in terms of capacity? Are your servers full? Are your storage arrays full? When do you need to add more? Are they configured right? Are they configured either to the standards that the line of business wants them to be configured to? Are they all patched to the same level? Are they patched to the right critical security patches? And so on. So you just need visibility into just all of the different elements that you're managing, you're offering management for, I should say, and the different aspects of each of those elements: availability, performance, capacity, configuration. And then once you have visibility, you need some degree of control to be able to fix issues that come up or perform routine maintenance tasks, as we talked about earlier. Right? Simple things like rebooting a server, change configuration settings, patch server. So, if you're going to offer IT management as a service, you absolutely need, this is like a fundamental requirement, right? Visibility and control. So that's that. Let's look at the next area here. Self-service access. This is extremely important because you need to deliver a service-like experience, self-service particularly type experience, where each end user or a department level IT individual can log in and get really a view into just their own devices, right? Their servers, their apps, their devices, their storage arrays, network devices. And be able to look at dashboards, alerts, reports, and automation. Now, if you're a managed service provider, I'm sure you're familiar with this requirement. Right? You need to have a degree of multi-tenancy so that each of your end customers can log in and look at just the management information for their own IT elements, but not anybody else's. Right? If you're an enterprise IT department considering moving to this sort of as a service model, this may be new to you, but I hope this is this makes sense to you. And so you need to be able to provide a self-service access and control to each of your end users or your lines of business. Reporting, particularly, you should be able to come. End users should be able to come and generate a report just for their devices. Pick the period they want reporting on and select the types of information that they want in the report and just generate a report. So that's self-service. Let's go move further here. Customization. We talked about earlier in terms of the drivers. There's just in this new world, there's just different flavors, many flavors of IT resources. And if you're going to offer management as a service across multiple business units, each of them, you can be assured, will have slightly different needs. Maybe one the department will want to patch servers on a weekly schedule, and maybe another on a monthly schedule. Right? So just you're bound to have, if you're going to service different clients, you're bound to have different needs, slightly different needs across them, and you need to be able to deliver to those variations in requirements. So alerting, I'm just giving you some specific examples here to give you a sense of the kinds of variation you could see. Right? One line of business may have a policy that says, all outages on customer-facing apps, you need to be able to, you should notify IT managers, meaning a different set of folks. Maybe another department may say, have a policy that, a different set of users need to be notified. So it's just a different, the way each line of business operates, and you should be able to tailor that service offering to the needs of those different departments. I hope this makes sense. Monitoring, again, you may want to monitor at different levels for different departments, different users. So that's customization, and your IT management service, underlying technology should be able to support this. Lastly, let's look at service level and cost visibility. And if you're going to offer IT management as a service, your customers will expect that they have clearly defined measures of service levels, standardized metrics that they can review on a regular basis and understand how their IT resources are performing. Availability, an example there would be, availability, unplanned downtime is really a key metric there, right? Unplanned downtime is really the thing that most IT managers want to measure. Planned downtime aside, that's more of a, it is important, but that's it's a different measure. What really one of the most important metrics to assess if your environment is healthy overall is really just how many minutes of downtime, unplanned downtime do you have on your device on average or on specific devices, right? Performance, what application response times am I delivering to my end users? These are important. These have always been important. They become even more important towards cloud, and especially if you're going to consume services from third parties, even more important that you have well-defined measures of these metrics. Service fulfillment, average time to resolve alerts, right? How long does it take on average to go from an alert to a resolution, a problem resolution? And then lastly, cost, right? As we talked about earlier, your end users now have a choice. They have more choices than they had before. They can go buy servers in the cloud. They can come to you and ask for a physical machine. You just need to give them the information that they need to make those choices. How much? And we're not talking about chargeback and sort of bill back. And typically, when we talk about cost, is sort of people think about how do I charge back to the end user and so on. That's more of an accounting thing, and many IT departments are still trying to figure out, really, do we need to put in place a chargeback model? Is it worth the accounting cost that incurs and so on? But all that aside, we're not talking about chargeback here. All we're talking about is just a basis for your IT managers across your different clients to have a gross level estimate or a projection of what it's costing them to get different resources from different providers, including your own in-house IT. A basis to make these choices. So that's really what you need to provide on a service level and cost side of things. With that, let me just turn it over to Eric here, who's going to demonstrate how Vistara gives you the specific capabilities we talked about earlier. And we hope that will leave you with a picture of how you can use Vistara to deliver IT-Ops as a service. So with that, Eric, over to you.
Great. Thank you, Mahesh. And again, if you've got questions that have come to mind, please feel free to go ahead and post them in the questions area, and we'll address them during the Q&A session at the end. Okay, yeah, so this is Eric Kroc, Director of Product Marketing at Vistara. And now that we've talked about some of the drivers for why people are adopting IT management as a service and what some of the requirements are, I'm going to take a few minutes to show you how Vistara can help your organization address those needs. So this will be kind of a racing walk through a broad set of functionality. Okay, so we're starting at the top with the dashboard here. This is a customizable dashboard that gives you a heads-up display of some of the key metrics for what's going on in your IT organization. You can see that the inventory of all of your IT elements is organized here by element type. You can see your desktops, your servers, network devices, storage, converged infrastructure solutions, even your mobile devices, and so on. And this is, by the way, you can drill down on all these things. So if I go here and click on the servers, I can actually see the list of my organization's servers and drill down to the individual servers and see more information about it. So customers are using this capability to create a customized heads-up display for their network operations center. You can also see measurements of availability for your IT elements. You can see services. summarized here. So Vistara gives you the ability not only to manage your physical and virtual IT elements in isolation, but you can also create a definition of a service that depends on one or more of those elements and create a customized definition of availability and performance for that service that will integrate an awareness of the status of each of the elements that supports it. And this is not only a up or down binary measurement of availability, but you can even have a concept of service degradation here. So you can see your services organized by which ones are up, which ones are degraded, and which ones are down. The dashboard also gives you a view of the tickets that are currently in progress. So Vistara gives you integrated support for incident and problem management. You can not only monitor and manage all of your physical and virtual IT elements, but you can also file tickets as needed to address issues when they arise. So you can also drill down into that. So these are some of the high-level capabilities you get when you log in from the dashboard view. Now let's talk about managing your infrastructure elements. So as Mahesh talked about, modern IT requires that the monitoring and management of infrastructure be centralized for the benefit of providing efficient support of shared services to an entire distributed organization. That means that your central IT organization needs the ability to conveniently monitor and manage all of your distributed elements. Vistara gives you that, and it gives you multiple ways to browse through that. So when you look at the infrastructure tab here, you see that by default, it displays a list of all of your infrastructure elements organized by type. Again, you've got your desktop, servers, network devices, storage, converged infrastructure solutions, virtual machines, network devices, cloud services, and so on. So you can conveniently browse through here, and you can see your Windows and Linux servers, your switches and routers and firewalls. You can drill down further and see whatever public cloud services you're using, and so on and so forth. That lets administrators browse your infrastructure elements by type. But other views are necessary as well. You also need the ability to organize your IT elements by logical groups, such as business unit, and the Groups tab here gives you that as well. So you could have, frequently large organizations have multiple business units, and certain infrastructure is dedicated to each one of those units. You may also have certain IT staff who are dedicated to support of each of those units. So not only can you get a business unit specific view of your infrastructure, but you can also take advantage of Vistara's support for role-based access controls, so that those administrators who are only supposed to be supporting a given business unit will only see the elements associated with that business unit. You can give each administrator exactly the level of access to monitoring and management functionality that they should have, based on who they are, what their role is, what device or element they are seeking to access, and what privileges you want to give them access to on that device. So it's a very granular role-based access control model. All right, so then an additional way of viewing here is by physical site. So administrators may need to drill down and see what's going on in the Sacramento data center or the San Jose data center. And the Site tab here gives you that capability. So again, you can browse through your infrastructure organized by the location and then what infrastructure elements, such as this Windows server, are present at that site. Finally, Vistara gives you a fourth way to browse through your infrastructure, and that's through by logical service. So I talked about Vistara's ability to define a logical service that depends on one or more infrastructure elements. And once you've done that, you can actually browse into that service and see all the elements that support it. So that provides you with a heads-up display for that service. Again, you can see its up or down status of the constituent elements that are supporting it. And you can also see a dependency map showing the logical service and then all the elements that make it up. So again, that is a live browsable dependency map there. So that's some of the ways that Vistara makes it easy to browse through your on-premise infrastructure and your cloud-based infrastructure in flexible ways that allow administrators to quickly access whichever element or elements they need to, depending on the situation. Okay, so now that we've talked about browsing through this stuff, let's take a look at some of the capabilities you get when you drill down on an element. So we're drilling down here on Windows servers, and Vistara gives you not only awareness of the Windows server as a hardware device with its own physical properties, but it's also aware of which applications are running on that device. So in this case, this server is running Active Directory, and you can see that there's a Active Directory tab that shows up when you access that server. That's showing monitoring and metrics that are specific to Active Directory. So you can go through here, you can see basic server characteristics, as well as application-specific metrics. Okay, whenever Vistara manages a server, it automatically scans that server to see whether its patch levels are up to date. So let's take a look at the Patches tab here. You can see that Vistara has identified this particular server is missing 41 patches. So that makes it easy for administrators to recognize that a particular server needs updating and then to approve the necessary updates. Let's compare that with another Windows server over here. You can see this one is running Exchange and Microsoft SQL Server and IaaS, and there are 3 tabs that are specific to the properties of those business applications so that you can take a look at them. So here on the Exchange server, you can see mails sent per day, mails sent size per day, the number of mails received per day, and so on. So Vistara is aware not only of the physical server and the software stack running on it, but also the specific applications it's running, and gives you monitoring and metrics specific to that. By contrast, if you take a look at this server, you see that it's got 0 missing patches. It's fully up to date. So Vistara makes it easy for your administrators to help keep your IT infrastructure up to date. You can also define patch policies and apply them to specific IT elements as needed. All right, let's continue down here. So in addition to Windows servers, you've also got access to switches. Here's a Cisco 3550, and you can see the different tabs we have here for accessing metrics about that server, and also graphs on the dashboard that conveniently let you see things like packet loss graphed over time. So Vistara helps administrators by visualizing the status of devices over time, so it's easy to recognize trends, recurring problems, and other things that may need to be addressed. That helps to make the IT infrastructure more comprehensible in all of its complexity. Vistara also features support for storage devices, so that we can drill down here. And we've got an EMC VNX, for example. And if we take a look at that, let's take a look at our dashboard. So we've got our top 5 storage pools in volumes. You can see we're running at 86% of capacity, so we should probably provision some extra capacity on this server. The easy visualization of the status of each IT element makes it easy for administrators to anticipate problems and address them before they actually happen. You can also take a look at the Storage Pools tab and see, our R5 performance storage pool is at 99% utilization. We better address that right away. That's probably triggering an alert over in our alert list right now. Okay, so we've briefly looked at some of the physical devices that you can manage here, but it's important to realize that Vistara lets you manage your physical infrastructure and your virtual infrastructure. So here under the VMware tab, you can drill down and we can see some of the virtual machines that are being managed in this IT environment. So you can go into the virtual machine, you can pause it, stop it, start it. And you can also look into the cloud services that your IT organization is taking advantage of. Here we're using Rackspace Open Cloud, and you can open that. You can take a look at the instances that are running within that cloud. Again, you can start them, stop them, monitor them. You can also go in using our console access, and you can directly administer the instances at the console level. One of the advantages of Vistara is that it gives administrators convenient console access to instances regardless of where they are located. So administrators can log into Vistara through their browser once, and then they will get console access to all the IT elements that they should have access to without any further need to authenticate, to remember credentials, or to use expensive VPN infrastructure. So this really helps IT administrators be more productive on a day-to-day basis because they can simply connect to Vistara and then fluidly access the devices and IT elements they should be able to without having the mental overhead of having to remember all those credentials. Okay, so let's talk about some of the templates that Vistara gives you for monitoring your IT infrastructure. So we go here over under the Setup tab, and if we look under Monitoring and Management, we will see that there's a long list of templates that are available by default for use within Vistara. So once you've discovered your IT elements, you can apply these standard templates that are available out of the box, and that will apply monitoring setup to the devices you've selected that reflects the best practices that Vistara has identified in years of using solution to monitor diverse IT elements. So it makes it easy to get your IT infrastructure under control by leveraging a body of knowledge that's accumulated over time without having to reinvent that yourself. These templates, by the way, are customizable. You can add new templates. You can also customize the existing templates to match your organization's policies. All right, so that helps you get your infrastructure under control, but things are going to happen. You need to be on top of the alerts, and Vistara's alert browser gives you convenient unified alert management capabilities for all of the alerts coming in from all of your physical and virtual infrastructure. This unified view is obviously critical for a modern IT organization that is flexibly using a mix of on-premise and cloud infrastructure elements and services to offer services to its stakeholders. If something goes wrong, you need to be able to quickly see a unified view coming in from all of these elements so you can put together what may have gone wrong and quickly remediate it. And of course, the preferred approach is to identify alerts before they become usable to the end user, and Vistara gives you that with customizable alerting thresholds for all of your devices. So it helps you to anticipate problems before they become visible to your business constituents. One of our goals is to make sure that the IT organization is always the first to know about problems before business stakeholders are affected. So here's our alert browser. You can see that it's integrating alerts coming in from a wide variety of devices, Windows devices, Cisco devices, and so on. And there's a powerful filtering system in here that lets you get control of that. So you can filter by the priority of the alert, the technology it was using, the particular host name, the type of alert, subtype, and so on. So this lets administrators quickly browse through alerts and zero in on the ones that are of interest to them. This really helps improve the productivity of IT administrators because they don't have to context switch so much from one application or device-specific point tool to another and go back and forth. And Vistara gives them the unified view that modern IT requires. So let's quickly take a look at one of these alerts. So here is the alert. Vistara has a sophisticated model of alerts that integrates information coming in from a variety of IT elements. You can drill in, and while you're viewing a particular alert, you can also look at other alerts that are going on right now. So you can look at all open alerts, for example, and you can focus on devices or sites or device groups. So this helps IT administrators to understand the context for a particular alert they may be looking at. You can also select multiple alerts and open a new ticket using those alerts. You can bundle multiple alerts into an incident. So again, that's one of the advantages of Vistara. It's got integrated incident and problem management. And it means you can use a single solution both to monitor and manage your distributed IT infrastructure, physical and virtual, and also to address issues that arise. If, by the way, you use other third-party solutions like ServiceNow or ConnectWise or Autotask, we have built-in ready integrations that work out of the box, and we have an open set of Vistara APIs that let you integrate with other ITSM solutions if you have those in place already. So Vistara gives you your choice. You can use our built-in incident problem management or a existing solution you've already adopted. Okay, now what happens when these alerts come in? So Vistara gives you the ability to set up an escalation matrix that will automatically route alerts to the appropriate administrator for attention. So let's take a look at this. So let's just collapse this so it's a little easy to understand. You can see here that our level 1 admins are organized by schedule. So we've got a business shift hours level 1 administrator, we've got a weekend shift hours, and an after hours shift. So, and of course you can define multiple administrators within each shift. So you can set it up so that alerts will automatically routed to the appropriate administrator based on what the alert is, its priority, and when it took place. And those alerts will automatically be escalated. So you can escalate it up to your level 2 staff if it's more serious or requires specialized attention, or if enough time has expired without it being resolved. So you can define a flexible escalation matrix. Some of our customers are using this to actually replace the traditional network operating system center that has a dedicated set of IT staff who sit in front of screens and wait for something to occur, by distributing the network operating center functionality out into their organization. So the IT administrators who have NOC responsibilities can still sit out in the business units with other people working on projects when nothing else urgent is going on. But if something occurs that requires their attention, it's immediately flagged to them, and they can switch to that. So that allows organizations to be flatter and leaner while still maintaining the same kind of responsiveness that's required for modern IT operations. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about patch management. So we talked about how Vistara gives you the ability to handle patch management for your servers. So you can, we already showed you these scanning capabilities for elements. Here is your patch configuration. Vistara gives you the ability to apply multiple patch policies, and then you apply the appropriate patch policy to a given server. And you can also, there's an approvals workflow. So when you identify that a given set of patches is necessary, then you can quickly go in here and see what kind of patches are needed within your IT elements. And then you can go through and you can approve those patches to be put in place. So again, Vistara makes your IT administrators very productive by giving them a unified view of all the IT infrastructure and then making it easy to keep monitoring and management and maintenance under control. I also want to briefly point out the runbook automations capability. So you can go in here. Here's a set of scripts that are available. Vistara gives you the freedom to use any scripting language you wish to create your runbook automations, which can then be applied to your servers as needed, either on a scheduled basis or administrators can manually run the runbook automation as needed. You can also set up the RBAs so we run automatically in response to specified alerts. And you can see here the list of jobs, the RBAs that have already been defined and put in place. Okay, let's take a quick look at the reporting capability, and then let's go to the questions we have waiting from the audience. Okay, so we all know that reporting on the status of your IT infrastructure is critical, and Vistara makes it easy to prepare reports that are suitable for presentation to your executive audience. So these reports are made available both in PDF format and in PowerPoint format. So IT administrators can spend less time editing information and more time focusing on making the IT infrastructure work optimally. So here you can see our customer executive report, and it's automatically prepared a summary of your services, your IT inventory, your infrastructure availability and health metrics, alert and incident management statistics, patch management, and antivirus management statistics. So again, you can see that Vistara has automatically generated a fully formatted presentation here, including easy to understand charts. So it makes it easier for both IT and your stakeholders to understand and discuss the status of your IT infrastructure. This is just one of the many standard reports that Vistara has available to you out of the box. Okay, there's actually a lot more breadth and depth in Vistara, but we'd really like to save some time for Q&A. So let's take a look at our questions. All right, so let's address our first question here. The first question came in from the audience is, what specific operations management functions are you seeing the enterprise ready to move to a management as a service approach?
Right, good question, Eric. This is a key question. Sort of, how do you get started? Is sort of, what are the key initial capabilities that, if you're looking at getting started with this model in an enterprise, what would you start with? That's really what it's getting at. And what we're seeing as we talk to customers is, in the enterprise particularly, is basic monitoring, availability monitoring of devices. Really, that really is one of the fundamental questions that they want to answer. And they're having to spend a lot of their own effort within each department or each line of business to put together their own tooling and just to report on availability. And if they had as a service offering within the enterprise or from an MSP, they'd be glad to subscribe to that, right? Availability. Second would be reporting, just reporting on, what is the utilization of my servers, of my storage devices, some basic trending, that, and another would be patching. Patching is, every server needs to be patched at some point, and it's sort of bread and butter requirement. And again, if as an MSP or an enterprise IT centralized department offered these services, these groups would be glad and happy to consume that, because it just costs them a lot to put their own infrastructure together to do this. Yeah, so I hope that answered the question there.
Let's see, here's another question. I'm currently a packet trap user. Is Vistara offering any options to customers who are currently looking to migrate away from packet trap? Yeah, absolutely. So as people know, Dell has end-of-lifed the popular packet trap product, and current packet trap customers are frequently looking for a new solution they can migrate to for monitoring and management. Many of them are service providers, by the way, who need a solution that is appropriate for service providers. And Vistara is actually offering a promotion right now where existing packet trap users can get 3 months of free service if they sign up by the end of the year. You can reach out to our sales force just by emailing sales@vistarait.com if you are curious to learn more about that promotion. Of course, Vistara offers you much broader and deeper functionality than packet trap. So it gives you the opportunity to not only replace your existing packet trap functionality, but also migrate to a solution with a broader set of capabilities. Then, okay, let's take a look at the list of questions. Yeah, here's another one. So how does Vistara collect the data that's needed for IT operations management from both the data centers and the cloud? Mahesh, do you want to take a stab at that?
Yeah, sure. So this is an important question. It's actually a very practically important capability to be able to collect data that you need to do management. And typically customers are concerned with how you're going to collect my data. Are you going to put an agent on my device and impose a lot of overhead on my server or my devices? How are you going to send the data out to the cloud? Is it encrypted? What are the security considerations? With Vistara, we have this is one of the distinguishing aspects of Vistara, in that data collection is both convenient, lightweight, as well as secure to really enable IT-Ops as a service type use cases. So it's lightweight in that, depending on the type of device. If it's a server, Vistara has a very lightweight agent that you deploy on your Windows and Linux systems. If it's a network device, you just deploy what we call the Vistara Gateway, which is basically a virtual machine that can be run on any virtual environment, whether it's a Zen or a VMware environment. Single virtual machine that can collect data from hundreds of network devices, collect SNMP traps, SNMP metrics, and then send that over in an encrypted fashion to the Vistara cloud. So data collection is an very important and practical requirement. Good, solid data collection that's secure and lightweight, and Vistara offers both.
Great, thank you. Again, if anyone has additional questions, please feel free to post them to the questions tab right now, and we'll address them in these last few minutes before we close it up. Here's one. So it says, you talked some about the cost and efficiency benefits provided by IT operations management as a service. What are some of the new types of value that are created by this approach?
Well, that's a great question. I talk more about as you pointed out, just the efficiency and the cost benefits you get by centralizing these IT functions. But there's a whole realm that's probably worth another webinar to really talk about, when you do this, when you offer IT operations management as a service, there's just a whole new world of opportunity that opens up for the MSP or the IT, for the enterprise IT team to offer new kinds of value that just wasn't possible before in the old model. Right? So specifically, some of the examples that come to mind would be, capacity planning. All enterprises want to know when they should buy more machines. Should they upgrade their older systems to newer servers? If they do that, how many do they need? These are sort of questions that that come up on an ongoing basis. That existing IT teams, because they're not really specialized to do this type of thing, it's hard for them to do. But if you offer IT management as a service, you could easily provide these abilities: capacity management, backup management. Just simply monitoring if backups are happening, if your servers are protected. Replication monitoring similarly. Is your storage replication processes working? These are difficult things to monitor and manage for within each IT group themselves. So to centralize and offer it as a service, it's much easier to deliver. For MSP, each of these new capabilities are just new opportunities for offering new revenue-bearing services.
All right. Here's another question. So how does the interface with ConnectWise work?
Right. So Vistara has a two-directional or bidirectional integration with ConnectWise, and it works this way. If you so Vistara has an adapter that on one end talks to Vistara and the other end talks to ConnectWise. And if you convert, if you go to an alert and you create a ticket, convert that alert into a ticket within Vistara, that automatically creates a ticket in ConnectWise, and vice versa. So if you create a ticket in ConnectWise, it automatically converts into shows up as a ticket within Vistara. So from within Vistara, you can synchronize two-way synchronization of tickets between ConnectWise and Vistara.
Okay, great. We're almost out of time here. Our last question is, can I try out Vistara? Is there a trial available? And yes, you can just go to our website. click Request a Demo or email sales@vistarait.com. We'll be happy to let you try out Vistara. It's really easy to get started. You just download a lightweight virtual machine into your IT environment. It will automatically use standard protocols to discover your existing IT infrastructure. You can choose which elements you want to put under management and start monitoring immediately using the existing templates, and then you're away and in control. Okay, so listen, more information about Vistara is available at our website, vistarait.com. You can see all of our archived webinars there, as well as demonstrations. Our presentations are available for download. And if you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to send email to sales@vistarait.com or just fill out the form on our website for requesting a demo. So Mahesh, thank you very much. Thank you, all of you, for attending this webinar, and we look forward to hearing more from you.